Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're doing well. We got a little bonus video today. Miss Laugesen actually did her own book review. So today she's going to share with us a little bit about The Princess Bride. So what we've done, she's done it in a little bit of an audio file. So I put some pictures in the book and movie in the background. Hopefully you enjoy. Give us some feedback. I've already heard from a few of you about the books that you're reading right now, which is awesome. And I'll add my 2 cents to this. Princess Bride, the movie is awesome. The book is even better. So here we go. Here's Miss Laugesen.
Hello, master students. I miss connecting with you and I miss talking with you. And one of the things that I miss talking with you about is books. If you're in any of my humanities or English classes, you know how much I love to tell you about books and stories. So I'm going to take the chance a little bit as the weeks go by when we're in this format to maybe tell you about some of the books that I really, really love. Some of you who've been in my classes, you might have heard me talk about these books before, and that's okay because they're worth talking about again. And when I thought about what is the first book that I want to talk to you about, I knew that it had to be The Princess Bride by William Goldman. This book I have loved since I was a kid. In fact, I saw the movie first, and if you have not watched the Princess Bride movie, you should do that. Get your whole family together, make some popcorn, watch the movie. It's amazing. It is, in fact, the first movie that I ever picked to go watch. When I was a kid, I was 4, and I got to choose, and we went to see The Princess Bride. And then when I got a little bit older, late elementary, early junior high, I realized there was a book, and I got my hands on it. So I'm going to read to you the back of the book because I want you to hear what the story is about. And then I'm going to do something that I do with my humanities classes, usually on Fridays, but we don't have Friday this week. So I'm going to read to you part of the first chapter. So we're going to do a first chapter Thursday instead of a first chapter Friday. And so the back of the book says, as Florin and Gilder teeter on the verge of war, the reluctant Princess Buttercup is devastated by the loss of her true love, kidnapped by a mercenary and his henchmen, rescued by a pirate, forced to marry Prince Humperdinck, and rescued once again by the very crew who absconded with her in the first place. In the course of this dazzling adventure, she'll meet Vizzini, the criminal philosopher who'll do anything for a bag of gold, Fezzik, the gentle giant, Inigo, the Spaniard whose steel thirsts for revenge, and Count Rugen, the evil mastermind behind it all. Foiling all of their plans and jumping into their stories is Wesley, Princess Buttercup's one true love and a very good friend of a dangerous pirate. And so you can hear from the back that this is a book with a lot of characters and a lot of adventure and a lot of crazy things happening. And that's one of the things that I really, really love about the story. It has so many lines from the book and from the movie that people just can quote and apply to everything. And so one thing I really love about the book is instead of it being the pit of despair, if you've watched the movie, you know what I mean when I say the pit of despair. It's the zoo of death in the movie. So, or in the book. So that's way more fun. So I'm going to read to you today a piece, not actually from chapter 1, but from chapter 2 called The Groom, where it introduces Prince Humperdinck and it introduces, some of my favorite little quirks from the book. Okay, so chapter 2 begins. Prince Humperdinck was shaped like a barrel. His chest was a great barrel chest, his thighs mighty barrel thighs. He was not tall, but he weighed close to 250 pounds, brick hard. He walked like a crab, side to side, and probably if he had wanted to be a ballet dancer, he would have been doomed to a miserable life of endless frustration. But he didn't want to be a ballet dancer. He wasn't in that much of a hurry to be king either. Even war, at which he excelled, took second place in his affections. Everything took second place in his affections. Hunting was his love. He made it a practice never to let a day go by without killing something. It didn't much matter what. When he first grew dedicated, he killed only big things, elephants or pythons. But then, as his skills increased, he began to enjoy the suffering of little beasts, too. He could happily spend an afternoon tracking a flying squirrel across forests or a rainbow trout down rivers. Once he was determined, once he had focused on an object, the prince was relentless. He never tired, never wavered, never ate nor slept. It was death chess, and he was international grand master. In the beginning, he traversed the world for opposition. But But travel consumed time, ships and horses being what they were, and the time away from Florin was worrying. There always had to be a male heir to the throne, and as long as his father was alive, there was no problem. But someday his father would die, and then the prince would be the king, and he would have to select a queen to supply an heir for the day of his own death. So to avoid the problem of absence, Prince Humperdinck built the Zoo of Death. He designed it himself with Count Rugen's help, and he sent his hirelings across the world to stock it for him. It was kept brimming with things that he could hunt, and it really wasn't like any other animal sanctuary anywhere. In the first place, there were never any visitors, only the albino keeper to make sure the beasts were properly fed, and there was never any sickness or weakness inside. The other thing about the zoo was that it was underground. The prince picked the spot himself in the quietest, remotest corner of the castle grounds, and he decreed there were to be 5 levels, all with proper needs for his individual enemies. On the first level, he put enemies of speed, wild dogs, cheetahs, hummingbirds. On the second level belonged the enemies of strength, anacondas and rhinos and crocodiles of over 20 feet. The third level was for poisoners, spitting cobras, jumping spiders, death bats galore. The fourth level was the kingdom of the most dangerous, the enemies of fear, the shrieking tarantula, the only spider capable of sound, the blood eagle, the only bird that thrived on human flesh, plus, in its own black pool, the sucking squid. Even the albino shivered during feeding time on the 4th level. The 5th level was empty. The prince constructed it in the hopes of someday finding something worthy, something as dangerous and fierce and powerful as he was. Unlikely. Still, he was an eternal optimist, so he kept the great cage on the 5th level always in readiness. And there was really more than enough that was lethal on the other 4 levels to keep a man happy. The prince would sometimes choose his prey by luck. He had a great wheel with a spinner on the outside of the wheel with a picture of every animal in the zoo, and he would twirl the spinner at breakfast, and wherever it stopped, the albino would ready that breed. Sometimes he would choose by mood. I feel quick today, fetch me a cheetah. Or, I feel strong today, release a rhino. And whatever he requested, of course, was done. And so that gives you a sense of the voice of the narrator. There's lots of little interjections and comments and things that are lighthearted, but then there's also, characters dealing with hard choices and decisions that they need to make, and what kind of person do they really, really want to be. So if you like stories with lots of adventure, you like stories with lots of quirky characters, then this might be a story that you want to check out, either the movie or the book. I love both of those. So thank you for listening to me talk about a book that I love. I hope to tell you about other books that I love because there's a lot of them. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.